Welcome everyone to the J&J podcast. This is Josh Lewis and Jeff J. Cunningham here. Today we've got a bunch of different topics. We're going to talk about some fun stuff that we're going to talk about.
So, and what the purpose of this show and what our intentions are. So,
nothing like live TV.
And
I'm not playing.
Nobody's watching us right now.
Not playing that?
We've got 4 or 5 people who are watching.
I'm not playing.
That's it. We're on very few radars right now. But the radars that we are on.
It's going to be frustrated. All right. We're still working. Iron out the kinks. Anyway, welcome. It's a Sunday night, 8:30. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about a variety of different topics. A lot of interesting things that we want to get into today. First things first, Chat GPT maker OpenAI ousts CEO Sam Altman. We're also going to talk about Stefanik declaring victory after New York court lifts unconstitutional gag order against Trump. I think Jeff's going to get into that. George Santos won't seek re-election after ethics report reveals OnlyFans campaign spending. That is something is very interesting to me. And then January 6th footage was released, and there's underwhelming results. We're going to get into some other stuff as well. Hopefully we get into all that. But first things first, Jeff, how are you doing?
Good, man. Just came from a real estate meetup out there at the Citadel with this guy who has do you know who Andrew Yang is?
Who?
Andrew Yang.
Yeah, of course.
So he had Andrew Yang on his podcast. I just seen a screenshot of the Generational. He wants to come on. We were just at a meetup, and I told him about the J&J podcast. He's like, "You have a podcast?" He said, "Well, yeah, we have this because it's political." And it's funny. I don't think I'll ever stop introducing myself, and I got to protect my voice at an event last night as future president of the United States, because that guy him to sit next to me, and he's a big RFK guy, right? And I told him about this, and he has a political podcast called Generation, and he wants to come on one time. I think he'd be good to come on because it's a different take on some things, you know?
Well, it's fantastic. I'm glad that he is
Generational with Jen, one of the former Democratic girls. And I'm gonna, it's funny. Everybody's like, you want to run for office, but you don't know all the, I know Matt Gaetz, I know a few guys, but I really stayed out because they all seem like, just politicians corrupt and everything. I wanted to be the businessman going in. So, but I lost my voice. I was speaking at the event last night, very exciting weekend of me, and was able to escape early to do this. So doing good, but look forward to having our podcast on the level of some of these other ones that they are. I'm going to get an arm mic with a video, and I'm going to get a new camera by episode.
Yeah, an arm mic either coming in tonight or sometime tomorrow morning. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I want to get into this other story that is not exactly on our list, but I want to get into it. But first, let's get into the Sam Altman. Do you have anything about that while I bring that story up? Because that is very interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I think it should be. AI is taking over. So AI, if it's not regulated, as you know, I from a marketing standpoint, I'm very involved with AI and how it is. And, we touched on that past episode how Joe Biden put in the regulations on it. And now, as soon as there's regulations in, if you follow the pine cones, okay, you're going to see a lot more changes happening with a lot of leaders in the AI. And there will be, and this is a Pick Predicts, is one of my buddies. So this is a Jeff J. Cunningham AI prediction. There will be a separate governmental in the U.S. AI board that'll basically vote on something. And I don't know if it's going to be governmental or if it's going to be privately owned, but I believe that's what's going on with a lot of shifting you're going to be seeing with a lot of Mo God and a lot of these Sam Altman and a lot of the AI founders in it. It's going to change.
So did you watch the podcast between Joe Rogan and him?
I did not actually, no.
It's a very enlightening podcast. He goes into some details about where he thinks AI is and about how he believes that AI is not going to be as prevalent as people think it is in the upcoming years. He thinks maybe 10 years, 15 years down the road, but he thinks everybody's kind of jumping the gun. They're like, yeah, it's a brand new thing that's going to do all these things. And he's like, there's actually a lot of limitations on it. Because Joe Rogan was kind of saying, like, what do we have to be worried about? He's like, right now, not much, because there's a lot of limitations on what we can actually do right now. So it was interesting from his point of view of saying that he doesn't anticipate it to be as disruptive as we all believe it is. Now, at the same time, is that because he's trying to push a narrative out purposely? We don't know, but let's get into this first story. So OpenAI.
Let me ask you right now, really quick. Do you trust him or no? On your trust meter, on what scale, 1 to 10?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think there's many people that I do trust. So do I trust what he's saying? I trust that he is in. Actually, what I wanted to do was try and make this a highlight on one speaker. I don't know how we can do that.
Oh, yeah, it's in settings.
Yeah, it's not, though. Zoom changed around everything.
Yeah, they did change. They're updating all the time.
So it's like show active speaker, but it's not.
Yeah, I'll do it before next one. We'll do some offshore work on this. Yeah, because I wanted to see how Generation Podcast, that one. They live stream. I didn't even look at it. I want to see how they did theirs.
All right, so yeah, let's get back into.
See, look, this is the guy Peter.
I see that.
Live streamers.
All right, so getting back into. That's interesting. I don't know. I have it on speaker, immersive maybe. Now it's just showing you, me. All right. Sorry, this is the kinks.
Oh, look, they were showing the same corporate greed video that we were seeing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're doing, dude, it's funny. There's a lot of synergies. It's almost like perfect timing, like that we're doing this. And now it's this guy comes and sits down. We sat next to him. He kind of looks like Sam Altman too, a little bit.
So Altman was suddenly fired on Friday, sending the hottest startup in tech into an ongoing crisis. The OpenAI board is in discussions with Sam Altman to return the company as its CEO, according to multiple people familiar with the matter. One of them said Altman, who was suddenly fired by the board on Friday with no notice, is ambivalent about coming back and would want significant governance changes. So update November 18th at 5:33 p.m. A source close to Altman says the board has agreed in principle to resign and to allow Altman and Brockman to return, but has since waffled, missing a key 5 p.m. deadline at which many OpenAI staffers were set to resign. If Altman decides to leave and start a new company, those staffers would assuredly go with him. Update November 19th, which is today.
This is recent. This is way more newer than when I wrote it in there.
Last night, after we learned OpenAI was trying to get Altman back and the board was waffling, Chief Strategy Officer Jason Kwan told employees that the company is optimistic about Altman returning and would share more Sunday morning. Meanwhile, a bunch of OpenAI employees took to X to voice their support of Altman with heart emojis. You can follow future updates here. Altman holding talks with the company just a day after he was ousted indicated that OpenAI is in a state of free fall without him. Hours after he was axed, Greg Brockman, OpenAI's president and former board chairman, resigned, and the two have been talking to friends and investors about starting another company. A string of senior researchers also resigned on Friday. People close to OpenAI say more departures are in the works.
Wow.
So what is the reasoning? Let's see. Largest Microsoft
Vision. It's always vision.
Right, but however, OpenAI's investors weren't given advance warning or
This is crazy because Microsoft, you know what happened with Microsoft? This was BC before the J&J podcast. You know Microsoft, what they did with OpenAI?
Tell me.
They became the largest investor in it, and they were going to use it all for their own stuff. So they gave OpenAI or whatever the most amount of money for it, which is crazy because if it collapses, right, this is what they're saying. If this is like, I'm so glad I'm not at the company or owner of Microsoft, because you'd be freaking out of your Microsoft because of OpenAI files. They just gave them the largest investment to go on to do the next thing they're trying to do, right?
Well, let's look at this. This is a CNN story. So, how OpenAI so really screwed up the Sam Altman firing. OpenAI's overseas worried that the company was making the technological equivalent of a nuclear bomb, and its caretaker, Sam Altman, was moving so fast that he risked a global catastrophe. So the board fired him. That may ultimately have been the logical solution, but in the manner in which Altman was fired abruptly and without warning to OpenAI's largest stakeholders and partners, defied logic, and it risked inflicting more damage than if the board took no such action at all. Company board's directors has an obligation first and foremost to its shareholders. OpenAI's most important shareholder is Microsoft, the company that gave Altman and company $13 billion to help Bing, Office, Windows, and Azure leapfrog Google and stay ahead of Amazon, IBM, and other AI wannabes. Yet Microsoft was not informed of Altman's firings until just before the public announcement. What does just before mean? Like 5 minutes they get a text, hey, we're about to go live with firing Sam. Who spoke to sources knowledgeable about the board's ousting of its CEO, Microsoft's stock. No, thank you, CNN. Employees weren't told the news ahead of time either. Usually they're not. Neither was Greg Brockman, the company's co-founder and former president, who said in a post on X that he found out about Altman's firing moments before it happened. Brockman, a key supporter of Altman and his strategic leadership of the company, resigned Friday. Other Altman loyalists also headed for the exits. Suddenly, OpenAI was in crisis. Reports that Altman and OpenXI loyalists were about to start their own venture, risk involved in anything the company had worked so hard to achieve over the past several years. All right, so let's unpack this a little bit. They fired him, saying that he was moving too fast. So the board made a decision to fire him. My initial thoughts is there has to be something else, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are about this.
Yeah, so my thoughts are 100%. If you look back at Sam Altman, and I've been pretty involved with AI, and you can't be involved with AI without watching a ton of Sam Altman clips. And one of them he says is that, basically it's worth, like, he's made some, that's why I want to listen to the Joe Rogan thing. He said that, some humans will die, and I'm paraphrasing here, and, some robots that, but it's the future. And he kind of reminds me of, on the trust factor, I probably trust him. The guy, do you know how much he's worth? How much money he's worth?
I don't.
He's worth like 500 to like 700 million, about estimated, right?
All right.
So he has money. So what's the driving force when you have money, right? You already have the money. There's a thing. It's impact or change. And he kind of has that way about him where I just believe he'd take risks 100% for everything. And I believe that's what it is. I believe he took a risk on everything. And I believe also the reason why they ousted him, and all this is moving towards like a governing. There's going to be, like, if Sam Altman goes and starts another company, which he totally can do, right? And maybe he calls Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is starting his own AI, right? So with the technology, with generative pre-trained artificial intelligence. And by the way, are you familiar with that? What it is, generative, the new stuff?
No, I am not familiar with that.
So really quick to break it down for anybody who doesn't know, it's 3 lines of code. So when I had my AI software back in the day and messaged people for it, is 1 line of code. So 1 line of code would say that and it would do that. What generative AI, it has 3 codes and they have 3 different teachers. My point in saying this is me, you, and anybody can go build this right now. That's what Sam Altman can do. And then it does it. So it's a teacher, student, and a learner code. And so then one code goes to the student teaches the learner, and it reverses. That's how it keeps going. So the code has it problem solved down the road, right? This is why there's a big fear of, does the code actually have emotion, or is it all coded? And there's a big argument if AI has emotion or it's just code, lying code.
So forgive me if I didn't follow you while you were saying this. You asked me, do I trust him? And I was like, hey, man, I don't really trust too many people. Do you trust him?
So the way I look at it too is like there's certain people, mentors, certain people I look to, as I grow up as an entrepreneur. Like Patrick and David, I trust on a scale of 9.5 out of 10, right? More than Sam Altman. I don't know what his driver is. I know what Patrick David's driver is. I know what he's solving for, right? I don't know what Sam Altman's. He has the money. So what is it really? He's talked about humans will die. He's talked about AI. I didn't listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. I will actually listen to that before the next episode here because I feel like Joe Rogan can humanize people.
So when he says humans will die, what do you mean by that?
So he's just saying like AI, no matter what is going to happen, robots are going to take over and there's things that are going to happen. And he said it in such a way, such a matter-of-fact way. And sometimes with some of the mad scientist peoples, which I don't know if you put them in the mad scientist realm, but they kind of believe that. The Bill Gates, right?
So the funny thing is, and I think you should watch the podcast with Joe Rogan because he might have had those beliefs before, but maybe he's walking back those beliefs because that's the vibe that I did not get from him at all. Like that utopia or dystopian, world that you're describing, he was more of like, yeah, we're years from that, if that were to even happen, and it's so complicated for us to even get to that point. Like people think we could get to that point. It's so like we're so far from that.
Yeah, so my trust matter is on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 6 with him. And here's the thing: if I playing devil's advocate, listen, he looks like a likable genius guy. I like him. I'll have him on the podcast. Sam, if you want to come on, no worries there, right? However, if I was someone who was going to do something crazy with AI, take it over, I might downplay it on the biggest podcast in the world, say it's not so big, Which, by the way, anybody Mo God and all these AI specialist guys all talk about it being the biggest thing. So and I'll watch him do it. But here, I'll show you the clip and maybe he did walk back this too. Why? What's your take on the whole article?
On what's going on right now, I have no idea why he got fired. Usually when people get fired, it's because a couple different reasons. It's coming from a management and leadership perspective. If the board is looking to out somebody, it's a disagreement, or that person did something wrong. Now, from what I see from this, it seems like it's a disagreement because they're trying to get him back. And if he did something wrong, if you fire somebody, it's usually because they do something wrong, right? They did something illegal, they did a crime, and you have to eliminate it.
So things make it cheaper.
Did you hear that or no?
I do. Now,
go ahead.
Having said that, if he did something wrong, it doesn't matter if they fire him because they have a case against him. But since they're walking back his firing, worst thing.
Thanks of non-compliance.
Sorry, go ahead.
You ever fire somebody, you need to get rid of that person immediately. Meaning, you fired them, you did your due diligence, you know that they should be gone. It sounds like the board conspired against him. I don't know all the whole reasoning behind it, but it sounds like they conspired against him and they got rid of him. But the facts, the substantial evidence they had for getting rid of him was not enough where they could justify the fact. Imagine how awkward it is him going into the board tomorrow and him having to look at the people in the face who fired him or trying to fire him. So share the video that you want to share if you have it.
And this was one, and I've watched a lot, but this one was actually cut up in Hermosi's Adapt or Die. So you just share the screen. All right, you just see the screen now, right?
Yep.
This is a great video. Anybody get rich in the AI revolution? Anybody just getting new and seeing the power of AI should watch that video. So I got to unmute I muted it while you're talking. Get it up here. Can we have somebody to cue up the clips for us?
Human arrogance to believe that AI cannot supersede humans.
At that point, the world will change significantly. This is where access to the superintelligence will become
Human
AI side humans that have longer point.
AI cannot supersede humans.
The targeted who gets the case for it would be the same. The singularity
will eat some job.
won't really want to kill us because it has no reason to, for the same reason that we don't want to kill ants. But if we build a highway, we destroy some ant hills. So it's just going to do what it's going to do.
Some robots will eat some jobs and some robots will kill humans. You've already seen that with self-driving cars. But when you look at the trend as a whole, I think it's going to be incredibly positive for humanity.
This is why Elon.
That was the clip I was talking about, but there was other stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I understand in context I understand a little bit better. It sounds very similar to what he says in Joe Rogan. He's logical in the fact that realize that saying, hey, listen, no matter when, like you starting a brand new business or me starting a new business, it's going to help a lot of people, but also you're going to hire somebody and then you're going to eventually fire that person. That could potentially change the course of their life too. So you got to, if you're making an omelet, you're going to have to break a few eggs. And I think someone being so matter of fact when it comes to AI and robots kind of scares people. Because it's just going to happen.
The one thing I think that makes Elon Musk more trustable, and I watched the Elon Musk Lex Friedman podcast, which was really good. That one was really good. Joe Rogan, I watched most of the Joe Rogan. I'm trying to get through. It wasn't as good as it normally was. I'm with a lot of people on that. It was a little like they were kind of all over the place a little bit. Reminded me of me talking to me, But the Joe Rogan the Elon Musk Lex Friedman one was phenomenal. Actually, next time we talk about the Israel-Palestine war, I want to play what Elon Musk says on that. I know we don't have that on the agenda today, but yeah. So from a leadership standpoint, do you believe they'll bring back Sam Altman? They fired him. Now everybody's freaking out. People want to leave. What would you do as a management standpoint? You come in, you fire someone. Maybe I'm trying to liken it to a job. They're the best employee. They're the best visionary. They're doing something that's catastrophic error. We'll believe CNN's report. Okay, for that. Listen, and then you fire them and all the employees get upset.
You do not fire somebody unless you have a damn good reason to. You do not go into somebody and do an ego firing. Bad managers, bad leaders do ego firings all the time. They have a little bit on somebody and go, all right, good. I never fired anybody that I didn't have a substantial amount of evidence where I knew if I went to bed at night, I'm like, yeah, we had to get rid of that person. If somebody's stealing, if somebody's lying, if somebody's consistently going against company policy, it's easy. It's a no-brainer. The challenge is when you have ego firings and when it's somebody who makes a snap decision based on their own ego or based on a disagreement, and disagreements are understandable. I get it. That's a reason to part ways with somebody. However, if it's not a substantial reasoning, you're gonna risk people not trusting you anymore. So whoever's on this board, whoever put this board together, if it was Sam Altman or himself, he's now looking behind his back every 5 seconds. And that shows the measurement of his leadership, where if he's able to leave, and now there's reports of his employees saying, hey, we'll leave and go find Sam Altman, that he has a measurement of leadership. And what is going to come to light within the next week, 2 weeks, maybe month or so, is the reasoning why the board wanted to get rid of him. Like we say, it's like a disagreement, but for right now, it is pretty clear that it's not something substantial, because if it was something substantial, they would stick to their guns.
They wouldn't be trying to get him back.
He did 100% wrong. A, B, and C, and D. That guy is not coming in our company. And by the way, if he does anything else, you should be really worried about him, because that guy is never being a part of our company again. But they're not doing that. Within a few days, they're ready to say, hey, maybe we made the wrong decision. To me, this sounds like an ego firing as opposed to an actual legitimate firing. But let's get on to the next story, which I kind of want to talk about with everything that's going on with really, I don't even want to get too much into it because it's so complicated, but the Elon Musk news. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but IBM pulling ads from X. Did you hear about any of this?
A little bit, but not really, no.
So Apple and Disney halt ads on X after Musk endorses anti-Semitic post. Sounds pretty crazy, right?
Right.
So let's see. Can we have the whole story to this? Looks like we will. Will they have the tweet? Maybe not. The blowback over Elon Musk's endorsement of anti-Semitic conspiracy theory on X gathered steam on Friday as several major advertisers on a social media platform cut off their spending after his comments. Disney said it was pausing spending on X, as did Lionsgate, the entertainment and film distribution company, and Paramount Global, the media giant that owns CBS. Apple, which spends tens of thousands of dollars a year on X, which is not a lot, by the way.
By the way, I've never seen an Apple ad on X.
Also suspended advertising on the platform. A person with knowledge of the situation said they followed IBM, which cut its spending with X on Thursday. So let's see. They had the tweet of what happened. No, let's find. So basically, somebody made a statement. And these are pretty hyperbolic.
Can you just go to X or Twitter?
We can. I'm just curious to see if anybody must respond to accusations of anti-Semitism. Nothing can be further from the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous. They're just trying to kill him now.
This past week, there are hundreds of bogus media stories claiming that I am anti-Semitic. Nothing could be further from the truth. I wish only for the best for humanity and a prosperous, exciting future for all.
Yeah, I totally agree. Listen, they're going to try and kill Elon Musk. And
so what happened was that somebody came out and said, listen, this whole anti-white thing that is going on, White House blasts Musk's hideous anti-Semitic lie, advertises pauses. Nobody's posting the actual tweet, which is somebody
want to float his account to see his apology, you know?
Yeah, somebody posted. Let's see if I click on conspiracy theory. Okay, yeah, all right. So it's not doing anything. So somebody posted something on X, and I'll bring it up in a moment. Hopefully, if I can, if it's still up. And Elon just responded back saying, you are speaking the truth, or you're speaking the facts.
Yeah, he's done that quite often, which is
right. Like he sees something, then he goes, "Oh, okay, I agree with this."
Yeah, he's a normal human being commenting on something, you know.
Right. And what the person was saying was, let's see, I'm not sure if it's deleted or if it's not deleted. Nah. I'm having a hard time looking at it. But the thing that was interesting to me is all these people pulled off their advertisements. They're not spending their advertisement dollars.
I'm on Elon's tweets right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at everything right now. I'm trying to see.
Starship, beautiful picture, Starship. He tweets a lot, by the way.
I know. Well, he does own the company, so let's see.
Hey, you know they have a video, like long form video on Twitter now, right?
I apologize for being ill prepared regarding this. Yeah, it looks like I'm not going to be able to find this. It's just way too far. So
what happened with it?
He just agreed with somebody saying, listen, the way that people are saying get rid of all the anti-white people are very similar than how the Jews are trying to get rid of Palestinian people, or the Palestinians are trying to get rid of Jews. Basically, some tweet was, it was hard to actually decipher what the tweet was actually saying, but they were basically saying, hey, there's a bunch of anti-white posts on here, and a bunch of Jewish people are saying things, and it's coming across as anti-white or whatever it is. And it's like basically the same thing. It's hypocrisy is what this person was saying. And Elon agreed with it. Now, but the thing that I wanted to point out is now everybody who is sticking up for Elon Musk is now saying that they are going to donate to Twitter themselves. So for instance, you know the Babylon Bee?
Yeah.
Babylon Bee said, we're going to start, I believe it's $250,000 a month on advertising on Twitter, right? So they're going to start spending their money. Guess who also said that they're going to start advertising?
Oh,
The top G, Andrew Tate, says, I will advertise X on X. I will literally promote your own platform on this platform. $1 million US a month. You don't need other advertisers. Simply let me know where to pay at Elon.
wow. Wow. Top G flexing.
So that is Andrew Tate flexing, but it's a good way to.
Oh, but a great flex.
It is. It's an.
Wait, go back to Top G's profile, Andrew Tate, and his thing. It said, Biden. What does it say?
5 times boosted. Zim, Vice, BBC, BLM, Democrat, vegan, Just Stop Oil, climate change, Biden 2024. Put the Ukraine flag and put the.
So Andrew Tate went woke.
So yeah, that's the whole thing. Listen, say what you will about Andrew Tate, but he does put his money where his mouth is. And
it's funny. There's a kid who wants me to help build out his podcast. His name's Adrian. Dude, he literally reminds me of Tristan Tate. It's funny. I said, you like Andrew Tate? I would show his Instagram pro. I went to a dinner at Capitol Grill. I was at Capitol Grill, and I said, there's a lot of egos here. Kid has an ego, but in a very controlled manner. And I was like, dude, I could brand you. Like he's obsessed with getting women, right? But he's 26, so. I didn't even tell you about that. The whole Sergio Mendes Capitol Grill dinner. Great kid, young kid, very good kid, very good ethics, dude. Going to Tony Robbins at 17 with his family, I'm trying to look for the tweet. Eric, can I actually, because we're on this, can I show you what Elon Musk said to Lex Friedman about the Israel-Palestine war?
Yeah, you showed it last.
Oh, did I really?
You show it again. Yeah.
I don't think I showed it, did I? I don't think we showed the video. I think I talked about it.
You brought up the video and Elon said, maybe you didn't. Maybe it was on another podcast.
Yeah.
I know what part you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play it right now because I just thought it was the perfect thing. I actually want to listen to it again because with all the controversy, I believe he said something. Let me see the timestamp. War in Human Nature, Israel Hamas war here, 4:33. Thank God for timestamps. Let me unmute this.
Twitter on X.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about the wars going on today and to see what the path to peace could be. How do you hope the current war in Israel and Gaza comes to an end? What path do you see that can minimize human suffering in the long term in that part of the world?
Well, I think that part of the world is definitely like if you look up there is no easy answer in the dictionary. It'll be that like the picture of the Middle East, in Israel especially. So there is no easy answer. This is strictly my opinion of is that the goal of Hamas was to provoke an overreaction from Israel. They obviously do not expect to, have a military victory, but they really wanted to commit the worst atrocities that they could in order to provoke the most aggressive response possible from Israel, and then leverage that aggressive response to
Is this what you wanted to show, or is it further?
Worldwide.
What's up?
Is this what you wanted to show, or is it further?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to show.
For the cause of Gaza and Palestine, which they have succeeded in doing. So the counterintuitive thing here, I think that the thing that I think should be done, even though it is very difficult, is that I would recommend that Israel engage in the most conspicuous acts of kindness possible. Everything. That is the actual thing that would thwart the goal of Hamas.
You saw this before?
Yes, go ahead.
So in some sense, the degree that makes sense in geopolitics, turn the other cheek, implemented.
It's not exactly turn the other cheek, because I do think that there's, I think it is appropriate for Israel to find the Hamas members and, either kill them or incarcerate them. Like that's something has to be done because they're just going to keep coming otherwise. But in addition to that, they need to do whatever they can. There's some talk of establishing, for example, a mobile hospital. I'd recommend doing that. Just making sure that there's food, water, medical necessities, and just be over the top about it and be very transparent, so that people can't claim it's a trick. Like just put a webcam on the thing, all 24/7.
Deploy acts of kindness.
Yeah, conspicuous acts of kindness that are unequivocal, meaning they can't be somehow, because Hamas will then their response will be, oh, it's a trick. Therefore, you have to counter how is it not a trick.
This ultimately fights the broader force of hatred in the region.
Yes, and I'm not sure who said it. It's an apocryphal saying, but an eye for an eye makes everyone blind.
All right, I don't want to play the whole clip, but I just thought that was like a different way I ever thought of it. With the whole, and I don't know what the comments were about that, but like that alone right there is Elon Musk saying, hey, Hamas is supposed to be terror. They wanted overaction. It's almost like if you go really bad of and I don't want to like take the egregious acts of Hamas and compare it to a baby, but if a baby acts out, right, and wants a response from somebody, right, or something like that, anybody, and they get that response and they want it even worse than they are, you're playing into their hand. It was his point. So yeah, you need to respond, but you need to do it in a way where you're doing acts of kindness, because hate, you can't drive out more hate, right? Only love can do that. And that's really what he was saying there. And it's actually like not even a brilliant strategy. It's the right thing to do to like end war eventually out the day, because you just keep shooting at each other, everybody's going to die.
It's hard, and I agree with him. But this is why it's so complicated, because it's hard. Because
but my point in saying is, whatever tweet he made the most I think that's the best answer I've heard on this all the way through.
Great answer. Yeah.
So now they're trying to kill him about anti-Semitic.
Right. It's hard because this is the reason why it's hard. Whenever I see somebody a dad who watches their son or daughter molested, killed, and they're facing their accuser, and then they attack their accuser, I understand that. I wholeheartedly understand that. Love and compassion there doesn't win. In fact, not only does it win, but it's a weak move. Are you paying attention?
Yeah, I was looking for Elon Musk's tweet because I haven't seen it. He said, you said the actual truth,
Right. Yeah, that's what he said.
So that's all he said.
He responded to somebody else. I'm guessing it got pulled down. So, and this is me getting off on another topic, but it's hard when you're not emotionally involved in a situation for you to say to turn the other cheek. Is it not?
Yeah, but I get that, but that's why emotional mastery is the most important thing that I think any human can do.
Right. So what example did I just give you?
You get the example that it's when you're emotionally involved, it's very hard to turn the other cheek. If something happens, if someone kills you,
I gave a specific example. Do you remember what the example was? It's okay if you don't, if you weren't listening. I was just saying.
I was looking for the tweet.
Yeah. So the example that I gave was when I see a dad facing some guy who molested or killed his child, and him attack that killer, him attack that child molester. To me, I get it 100%. There's a rage now that I'm a dad as well that I totally 100% get. And I think that it's almost like, I don't know, like that person who did that, who molested somebody, who killed a kid, and the father is looking at that, it's going to be very hard for them to turn the other cheek. In fact, they're going to want to extract revengeance because they're not sure if the judicial system is going to say, hey, you know what?
I got you. I actually am with you on that. But if that same guy goes and let's say kills the guy who, did these horrible acts to his son or whatever, and does the whole thing and kills him, and it's righteous anger, and never sense that. But then on that, then starts killing all the family and just doesn't stop and just keeps killing. Okay. At the end of the day, it makes him look, and you still can justify and understand why he's doing it, but it's like, it's not going to help it better. If anything,
Are you talking about the murderer who killed somebody, or are you talking about the dad going and killing
dad? If the dad, let's say, okay, this is a horrible situation, okay, but let's say the dad goes and kills the person who did this horrible act on his family. Got it?
Mhm.
But then doesn't stop there and starts killing more people.
Okay.
And then the member of the family who did the horrible acts, they hear about him just killing everybody now in his own family because he's now just going forward, and it riles them to start killing him now because he's killing some of their family who weren't in there. Got it?
Yeah.
So 100%. I believe in the death penalty. I believe capital punishment. He does it. He kills a person. Cool. When you start going extra and start just killing everybody, it gets a little like, okay, like it's not that. And the point of it, the person.
What makes you say that though?
Why is it crazy if you start just killing a lot of people besides killing the one person?
Yeah. What makes you say that?
Because you just can't go around killing people who don't deserve it. Like you can't kill around people. Listen, I'm all in capital punishment, but innocent people dying, I'm never for. And in war, unfortunately, innocent people die. I get that. So when you do that, if you can do exactly what Elon Musk said, if you can exude the kindness, take care of who it is so that doesn't happen again.
Right. So taking out what Elon Musk said, this guy goes around, he kills the guy, but he also starts killing the family members and other people who weren't involved. What makes him wrong about that?
If the family members didn't do any of the acts, then they're not. It's almost like if you did something and someone comes and kills me just because you did something, right? So right. Hamas and Muslim, let's look at Hamas and Muslim. Hamas is this horrible family member, okay, of the Muslim family. They kill, okay? They kill, and they're kind of a distant relative to Muslim. And by the way, I'm so probably not educated enough to speak on this, okay? I'll say that. But they do. Why do you punish everybody else when this is the one area? And I understand they're very evil. So whatever they're shielding, whatever they're making it very tough to kill them as well. Their whole mission is terror, to rise up terror. They don't care if anybody else Muslim gets killed. That's the thing. It's evil. Okay. So because of that.
So I'm going to stop you. I'm in agreement with you. I was purposely kind of poking because I wanted you to get emotionally involved in the situation. And now, since you started to get emotionally involved in the situation, you're looking at it logically, but now you're getting emotionally involved in it, right? That is why this is complicated. For somebody who's not emotionally involved in the situation, they can say something very easy. Oh, the dad, he shouldn't kill anybody. He should just let justice take its course. Or they should do this. For somebody who's emotionally involved, they're going to say, not only that you killed my people, I'm going to come after you 10 times fold. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stop until everyone is eradicated. And that's the challenge. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but we have emotions that
I'll say it's wrong. I'll say it's wrong.
Right. So who's wrong?
I'll just say that in that thing, if you do something like that, an eye for an eye will leave everybody blind. If you all of a sudden, because someone says, I'm going to eradicate everything, that's just, you're getting.
So when does it stop? When does an eye?
Kindness, when kindness stops, when you say, I'm going to address this one issue when I'm here. Okay, do it.
Get it. Okay, kindness, 100%. All right, so then the evil person kills somebody, and you go, you know what? Let me give him kindness.
No, I said you have to deal with that issue. Okay, I said this. I'm regurgitating exactly what you must say. You can't not address an issue that happens. Okay, murder happens, you got to attain that. But to then wipe out everybody else in that, you're doing exactly what that one evil person wanted. They wanted to start
100%. I don't think the distinction is strong enough saying that we need to eradicate the evil force. Because here's the one thing about evil. Evil is relentless, Jeff. It's never going to stop giving up. Regardless, whatever side it's on. We can talk about Israel, we can talk about Palestine. It is relentless. It will never stop. And if you do not eradicate it and say, listen, evil does not belong here, it does not exist here, it will view you as weak. And it'll say, I can just go after them anytime that I want.
Evil's demonic. I believe evil is demonic, and I believe it'll only come after you if you're not strongly founded in the Lord. If you go back in the Bible and believe the Bible, when the whole war happened and everybody went to war and there's 10,000 people and everybody died and they had the Lord on their side, right? In the whole biblical parallel thing, same thing there. Israel and Tel Aviv has become very woke and socialistic and ungodly in a part of it right now. If you go look at where it's at.
Well, but they are God's chosen people.
Right. Listen, I'm not going to say, listen, I'm, in this point, you can't just eradicate people. You can't do that. You're not going to get anywhere. You can't do genocide to get anywhere. Even Russia and plan to go take over Mother Russia.
I am not saying that you can't. I'm not saying to do that. I'm not saying that's what you do, but I'm saying once you start to back away and people view you as weak, they'll keep coming. If you don't stand up to
here's the thing. I don't think Israel's doing anything that anybody thinks they're weak right now. They've gone after him 100% in this whole deal. I get you. I'm not
even really talking about Israel and Palestine. I'm talking about if you repay kindness, you absolutely should, but you got to make sure you take care of the evil first. The only reason why I say it is just coming from a management and leadership background. And look, we can agree to disagree here. If I let the people who are evil, who are stealing for the company, and I showed them kindness, I kept on showing them kindness, and I didn't set like harsh rules and say this needs to happen, otherwise you're going to get fired. Those people would continue to run the company and they would run it into the ground and they would steal and they would make things bad and they'd still do drugs and everything. If I didn't say, hey, listen, you're done. You're not coming in here. And the next time you're coming in here, I'm calling the police. You do not set foot in this building. If I didn't do that, they'd walk all over me, right? They'd walk all over.
I'm not saying don't do that. You have to do that. But do that and do kindness and lead with love. You can do both.
I agree. That's my point. You have to do both. You cannot just show people kindness because they will take an advantage.
And I never said that, by the way. I never said that. He led with that, but then he said, I mean, you got to deal with it. Like that's what Elon Musk did in the words there. Either way, Elon Musk isn't anti-Semitic. That was my point of saying that, is he was actually making an issue. He was making a case for like bringing the world together,
I agree. Yeah. And listen, that was more good for the audience than it was for you and me. But I'm a strong believer is you have to, and listen, I am not an expert when it comes to Israel, when it comes to Hamas, when it comes to
Palestine. It's good we have this stuff. I remember when me and you were going off when I was in the same place when we were in the penthouse or the high rise. And we were going off about Andrew Tate and Arturo was listening in the background. It made some good clips and they cut it up, They cut up all those. Remember they did that? I think it was June. I forget who cut them up. Which we're gonna get there eventually. By the way, are you getting a mic that's gonna be one of the clip-on mics, or you're getting a blue mic?
Not a blue mic, like it's gonna be a boom mic.
Yeah, good. That's what I want to get. Let me know what you ordered because I'm gonna order it too.
So going on to the next story. By the way, I am not an expert when it comes to Israel and Hamas. I was just talking about when it comes to bad things, you have to address the bad things. You have to show kindness. I agree with you. I agree with Elon Musk, but you also have to take care of the evil. Otherwise, the evil is just going to come back. It just will. It always will. Evil does not survive in a place where it feels uncomfortable in, and it feels.
But like, here's the thing: if you're building godly principles and with the Lord, I know. I was just at Brian Breach's birthday party, influencer party. This girl, Steffi Gomez. She told me, I love that you believe in God, Jeff. You've been more vocal about God. I said, oh, really? Why is that? And she goes, because I've been a part of witches and satanic stuff. I never believed in God until I saw the evil. And now I know there's none of that. And if anything, that made me realize, man, God is really true, because she saw the evil side of it, right? She was in this whole part. So she's like, she just clinged on because she knew it was real. So I'm not saying there's not evil, but guess what? When there's around, I've been in ghost hunting with one of my former mentors. Whatever I have, the Lord, the light, whatever is in my foundation, that does not exist. The whole thing I'm saying is, if you repent, we're in the end times, right? At the end of the day, let's say we're in the end times. If you repent and you give your life to God, okay, and have a foundation, then watch, evil won't exist anyway. So you can. That's also leading with love.
I agree in the sense the Lord will protect you, but we are not immune to it, dude. The Lord will have our backs, but we're not immune to it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's for me to live as Christ and die as gain. Martin Luther King Jr., he led this way in a very controversial day, led with love all the way through, right? He did what I'm calling it, costing him his life. We did say that. For a long time, you can lead in evil with love. It'll actually work. I believe it'll work if it's built in godly principles. It's proven if you believe the Bible, it's proven in the Bible, and I can show it to you again. I'm living proof of it.
So
I've done it. I've done it by just leading the way I have. I've seen evil and I've seen it like crumble to it and not want to be in the space.
So why did God do Noah's Ark then?
Because the evil was so erupt, which is the thing, he wiped out everybody.
Exactly. There's times where evil needs to be eradicated. Now, I agree. He showed love to Noah and said, hey, listen, you have been so good. You're going to survive, and this is what you're going to do. But he was hell-bent on saying, hey, same thing with Sodom and Gomorrah, too. Eradicate it. Get rid of it.
I don't know why we have a first view, and Russia, Ukraine, it was like not as prevalent as Israel, Palestine. And Israel, Palestine's been going on for years, and you can go on. It's almost like, not to liken it to something, but still like the Giants, Patriots, or something like that. You always knew, oh no, there's something with that. There's a big rivalry like that, or Steelers, Bengals. There's always going to be like a fight when these guys always play together, right? It's really going to be tough. So like, even if there wasn't a war, you said Israel, Palestine, everybody just knows generosity. There's something there, right? So my point in saying that now, I don't know why we're focused on it so much. I think it's only to divide America. I think they're trying to rally stuff. So I don't think we should even really focus. I think we're giving too much attention to it anyway. Whatever it is they want to do, that's their way to do it. Whatever Palestine wants to do, that's their way to do it. For us to be commenting as a third world country, everything, well, we got to sleep on nights and they're going through crazy war. And we forgot about Ukraine. Is Ukraine still at war right now? We're just focused on this one because we want to give some money here. Like, it's ridiculous, you know?
Right. So I agree with you 100%. And to wrap this up, I don't want to play this for too long because I don't want to get any strikes or anything like that. But I think this is the best. Crazy, right? So
that's what I mean. Like, it's all repeated. Can I tell you something? If Hamas and that whole thing didn't get broadcasted like it did, the whole October 7th thing. And it's funny because, man, great marketing for the media, man. We know January 6th, we know October 7th, we know 9/11, right? We know all those dates, right? Because they're, oh my God, these are the dates. If they didn't, and you told me, well, Israel and Palestine are at war and they've been at war, because I just feel like a lot of the world is more at war. I was in Colombia. There's gangs and fights going on in villages. And it's not as, the reason why people fight like hell to get to America is because we have some sort of governance of it. And we have some sort of freedom. And other countries is not. But if you told me they were fighting, I would be like, oh, they're probably still at war because of the same thing. This whole thing that they're on war. But America's totally wrong to be out and buying people missiles and anything anyway. That's the thing that gets laughed at, which is so stupid. We're America. If you're America first here, we should not be funding all these other wars. And it's going to take people like me and you to run for office to stop it. Because until then, Nikki Haley and all these people are going to just send our boys and troops to war.
What I think this is, we're in evolved times, and I think there's a cause and effect going on right now. The first thing is there's bad leadership. We have bad leadership. Unfortunately, our president is not a good leader. And when you have bad leadership, when you have somebody who doesn't have a vision, you have somebody who's not competent, things will crumble. They just do. So that's the cause. The effect is there's chaos. There's wars, there's things that are going on that it seems to progressively getting worse. What also I think is going on, and this is why we need a strong leader to mediate this, what is happening through our very eyes is a study that they did that whenever a plane crashed, the risk of car accidents go up 400% over the next week. And the reasoning is because when people see it on the news that a plane crash and other people die, the people who are suicidal tend to think, you know what, I could just take my life away as well. And there's a cause and effect to things. I think what's happening is right now is we're plugged into social media now more than we've ever been, especially with COVID, when everybody was busy, social media was prevalent, but COVID had everybody stay inside and we were just in front of our phones, we were in front of our TVs, and we were locked in. And now since we don't have a strong leader, the cause is bad leadership, and the effect is there's chaos, bad leadership, and there's chaos. And the effect is, I think it's becoming exasperated into the sense that it's just timesing and compounding more than it should.
But here's the deal. There's no chaos here in America. There is not. It's all the chaos it's all fabricated from outside. I walk around Miami and here, I don't see any chaos. Do you see any in Connecticut when you walk around?
Sure. I mean, I don't see like chaos as in like the sense of, oh my God, in some of the worst parts. But yeah, there's not great things that are going on. But it's not, there's always going to be some sort of chaos, but it depends on the leadership that either mediates it and says that
My whole point is what we're doing by what they're doing is they're just fueling it to make more chaos. That's the point. There was not this
comes from
people
that
storming Washington, D.C. with the Palestine or whatever and all that, which is probably lead to the next one about the insurrection. But we should probably get off this.
Yeah, I want to get into the next story. So the next story is over Friday. Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, he said, I'm going to release the footage of January 6th, the insurrection that happened. Over 40,000 hours of footage. I thought to myself, there's no way I'm watching that. There's no way I'm interested in any of that because honestly, it seemed like a non-story to me when it first started. I know the government, media, the Democrats, the left made it out to be a huge story. It's one of the reasons why they're trying to get Trump to not run. But for me, I was like, what happened? Yeah, a couple people went crazy. They did things they weren't supposed to do. Jeez. All right. Well, I'm glad we mediated it. I'm glad it's okay. Now what has happened is that the footage has been released. And now, mind you, Mike Johnson released it on, when did he release it, Jeff?
He released it. I found an Elon Musk tweet, by the way. It was up here. He said it. I don't know when he released it.
Friday. The day before a weekend, before you go into a holiday week. So he released it, but he released it when people aren't going to be paying that much attention. So I give him credit for releasing it, but he released it on like, hey, I'm releasing it right before holiday week on the weekend. People aren't going to be paying much attention to it. It did not get much traction in the media. 40,000 hours are released. Now, I'm going to show you two quick things. So if you search January 6th footage, if you Google it, this is what's going to show up on your Google for the news stories. So we have news about security footage. New January 6th videos released launching wild conspiracies from the far right. Mike Johnson to release Capitol security footage from January 6th. How many are feds? Senator Mike Lee pushes January 6th disinformation. Johnson's decision to release all 40,000 hours of January 6th security footage, et cetera, et cetera. So they're saying it's all disinformation. Hey, Google, stop.
What did my boy Matt Gaetz say? Go down.
Matt Gaetz says released within days. This was last week. They're saying, hey, he was saying.
So they released it. Did you watch the photos? The video?
Let's get out of this. So if we search it on January 6th on X, right? So here is some new footage from the insurrection. This is them storming the Capitol. This is graphic. It gets very graphic in a moment.
What is it really? It looks very peaceful right here. I actually didn't watch this all the way through. So it looks like the cops are talking on the side.
Oh, cops are waving at people. Yeah, it never gets graphic. This is the footage.
That's what I thought. I know.
This is people storming the Capitol. The cops are just standing there watching, waving people, waving at people. Just the cops are not a care in the world. Now we're pushed a narrative that this was a destructive and is an insurrection. You had 3 cops who watched tropes of people going to the Capitol and didn't do anything. Interesting, right? We all remember this guy, this video, right? Then where's this other video? This one's pretty crazy. Watch.
So can you, when we go undercover as Antifa in a crowd, so can you put that back in? All right, thank you so much. Yep. It feels better. Did you guys get sprayed? Here. Take this orange bottle.
So basically, this guy who's a Fed says we're gonna go.
By the way, why would you film yourself even saying this?
I have no idea.
Dude, the whole thing makes me think it's all planned.
And then this guy is wearing a MAGA hat. He flashes a Fed badge to get in. These are saying he's not a cop. He's holding a vape, and he's got a photo he stole from Nancy Pelosi's office hidden under there. He's been sentenced to 4 years in prison. This is from NBC News. So what's true, what's not true? The Capitol Police are responsible for inciting hysteria. Where's the other videos? A couple other videos. I want to shit. Okay, so this is the videos that we saw, right? This is originally the videos that we saw. Obviously, people, it's not playing. But some crazy stuff went down. But also, from what we've seen as well, there's some odd stuff that went on. Here was another one.
Listen, all I think is pandemic, man. Everything's been planned. I think Israel-Palestine and Hamas attack was planned. I think the insurrection or whatever to do this to get Trump not elected because they knew he was going to run again was planned. I honestly don't know how Trump's still alive. They're doing everything. I don't know if they think they're torturing him more. Like they really don't want Trump to run. Everybody knows this. Trump doesn't care. He's running no matter what. And by the way, there were like more when Black Lives Matter was going on, which not to make it because they're separate issues. There were like a lot of different crimes and people breaking stuff and people not. And then I know Riley, who I used to work with, funded people to get out of jail who got in crime for like committing crimes because they were doing that, you know? She sent money to the prison.
They set us the fuck up. That's what they did. They set up 64. Oh, absolutely. And then they asked y'all to come 2 hours later. They set us up. They needed everybody right away. Nah, right away. They set us the fuck up. So now we ain't got shit. We ain't got no motherfucking shit. They set us the fuck up.
I don't know what happened. I'm not there. It's hard to sort through all the facts.
All those people, who is that guy? We should get him on the podcast, man. All these people that why aren't these people talking that are all in it? You know?
Well, this is the thing. There's
Or does like Hillary Clinton put them on their hit list?
This
as
is
they
a
talk?
story about somebody who went to the Capitol 2 hours after the whole January 6th riots happened. Everything dissipated. But he went in to the Capitol because everything was open. But his name was found, and now he's on trial to go to prison. So they're putting anybody in prison who did anything against the government, right? Because it was an insurrection, and how dare they did all that.
What does an insurrection mean? What does an insurrection mean?
So let's look at, because I think this is important.
So I think in the Constitution it says that there's insurrection. There couldn't be
So this is the reason why that they are pushing this.
so Trump doesn't get elected. It's all about not
100%. So the 14th Amendment ratified after the Civil War says American officials who take an oath to support the Constitution are banned from future office if they engage in insurrection. So the key word is like, get these people to go nuts. This is what I see. Get these people to go nuts and just fucking call it an insurrection, man. Call it an insurrection. Insurrection, 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 insurrection. Why? Because it says it in our Constitution and we can get this guy out. And guess what? Brilliant play by the Democrats. Brilliant. They're smart. They might get away with it. And then they could just install their own leaders and get away with it. But man, all you got to do is rile a couple people up, claim it is what's going on in the Constitution, read your rule book, and then go against it and play your chess moves. Man, they're good. I'm just saying.
Talking about evil. So talking about confronting evil in this point, like you can't be kindness about this. The kind of thing. If you're kindness about them now trying to push it on, because they were basically trying to get Trump. Colorado judge just came out and said Trump can be on the ballot. Their whole thing is to go and present this to everybody so Trump will not be on the ballot. That's the point. Trump, one judge already said it. They're all freaking out. Oh my God, this isn't working, right? Listen, I'll be shocked if we get to 2024 elections. I said it before, I'll say it again.
I don't know, man. This seems to be something pretty crazy. I don't know.
They will shut down the world again. We're going to go to mail-in ballots, which is the stupidest thing in the world, because we can vote with Miss American pageants. One of my clients is at
listen, I don't disagree with you, but how are they going to shut down the world again?
Go search Bill Gates next pandemic, and he's already cooping it up right now.
So understood. Next pandemic. So what's the next pandemic going to be? Is it going to be a virus? I don't think people are going to fall for a virus again. Most
might be. He can't go outside. There's mosquitoes that he. I mean, who knows, man? I'm serious. I'm not joking at all. I'm dead serious.
I don't think it's going to be that.
I'm glad we're recording this. So in case it is, we have this tape of me saying on November 19th, 2023, it could be, don't leave your house. There's mosquitoes out there that'll kill you. Like that. That's more than possible.
I mean, yeah, 100%.
We did it with a virus that was not, it could have been the common cold, and people were thinking they were more sick than they were.
Listen, there is a saying, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I think, listen, Anthony Fauci himself came out and said, there is a risk for myocarditis and young males at 20 to 30 years old if they take the vaccine. So now it's coming out that these vaccines are like, whoa, people are getting hurt by these things, and it's coming out in droves. I think a lot of people are more like astute, kind of like, I don't know. So if there is going to be something that's going to prevent an election, I think it's got to be different. I don't think they're going to play the same thing. I think they're too smart for that. I think if you're strategizing, you have to use something that is completely different.
Yeah, well, I think being at a world war, there's something in that is we're working towards that pretty well.
Yeah, I don't disagree. All right. You brought up the Colorado thing. You put this story in. I want you to go into it. Steph declares victory after New York court lifts unconstitutional gag order against Trump. So if you can bring that up, and from what I heard about it, is basically they put a gag order on Trump. He can't say anything because, from my understanding, was that if he couldn't say anything, and I could be getting this wrong because it was, I forget. Maybe if you bring it up, and I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, did I write the gag order, or which one did I write?
Yeah, I didn't put it in. Unconstitutional gag order. Stefanik declares victory after New York judge rules former is eligible for Colorado's. No, it wasn't in Colorado. It's going to be in New York. Yeah, that's right there. Judge temporary lifts. That one. Judge temporary lifts. No, that's not
So
it.
you think you know Wicks? Do you?
That first story where it says, third story.
Cool. CNN, a New York appeals court on Thursday attempted fire to lift the gag order placed on Donald Trump. Temporary lift to the gag order in a civil fraud trial following an emergency hearing. Associate Justice David Friedman, the first judicial department, ruled from the bench. In an order written, the judge said, considering all constitutional and statutory rights at issue, an interim stay is granted. Chris, an attorney for Trump, celebrated the move in their statement. Fortunately, the Constitution and the First Amendment protect everyone, including President Trump. The public will have full access to what is taking place in the unprecedented trial. Trump's lawyers had asked for emergency relief earlier this week, arguing the gag order is infringing the foreign person's right to free speech.
So let me ask you this: Do you think all this happens if Trump is different? Do you think?
What do you mean?
Meaning, so we all know who Trump is. Donald Trump is. I accept him for who he is. I do not hate Trump. I do not hate Biden. But I get why people don't like Trump. I also get why people don't like Biden, but it's for a completely different reason. But I get why people don't like Trump. He has a brashness. He has an arrogance. So that's some of the reason why people love Trump. Do you think that has anything to do with the reason why they're coming after him so hard? Because he's so arrogant.
I don't know. Vivek's not as arrogant as him. Vivek does have his little bit like the Trump where he punches. And I think they'll come out at him just as hard. I think anybody who speaks the message of that, I think it makes it easier to come after him with hate because Trump has hate. Just like I said it, Trump has more hate, right? He has hate against the media, so they're going to hate him back. Hate does not drive out more hate. I get Trump. He comes with hate, man. And when you come hate, you're going to get hate back. And that's what we're seeing.
What do you mean he comes with hate?
He hates on the media. Maybe it's justified, but he hates on them. If you do it in that manner, they're going to come back stronger.
So he hates on them, so they hate on him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Trump hates on a lot of people in his own way. The way Trump is, he's never like that. He's not afraid to call anybody out, call people names, call them bullies, all that stuff. It's funny, but wrong. It is funny. I know why he does it. I don't disagree with on some of it, but it's not a good way to lead. It's not. It's just you don't lead by calling people names.
I agree. Now, do you think if his approach was different, if it was a little bit more diplomatic, do you think they would still come after him as hard?
Yeah, because I think the end mission. So, Vivek is way more diplomatic. He's the same Trump. They're coming after him again. I think they would because you're going against the establishment. The establishment is built as a whole swamp. If me and you go after it and we are as duplicated, they're going to come off as just as hard. They're going to do it. It's been time and time again with them going after people,
I think what happened with Trump is he created a movement, and Trump is loud and he's brash and he pissed off and he pissed off a lot of people. And basically he went into the game and said, "Now I'm going to play it this way." And they were like, "No, motherfucker, we don't play it this way, and we're coming."
But at the end of the day, Trump won. He's winning now. You win the crowd, you win your freedom. He still does rallies. He has all the base of it. There's the MAGA crowd, right? Which is a big part of America. Without saying MAGA crowd, I believe, and actually Vivek said it, and I think of Vivek so much. I was talking to the guy who loves RFK Jr. today. But Vivek, his ad on Truth, you ever see Vivek's ad on Truth?
Yeah.
And he says 80% of Americans believe this. And I believe he's right. And I believe the MAGA Republicans are America First Republicans.
You keep saying MAGDA. Is there another thing that I don't know, or is it MAGA?
MAGA?
MAGA. Yeah, this is MAGA country.
I don't even know it at all. I really don't know what the name of it is. I just know people.
So real quick, speaking of Vivek, I want to show this clip. And this is a different story, but I think we should address this story. So Bill Maher, which by the way, I watch a lot of Bill Maher. I like Bill Maher. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I like the fact that he has a different way of looking at things, and he can sometimes be tongue in cheek, but he also makes fun of both sides. The left.
Do you think he'll ever come on the PBD podcast?
Who? Bill Maher?
Yeah.
Bill Maher?
Yeah.
I hope he does. I think they would get along really well. PBD.
I could see him on it, just like Chris Cuomo.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Because here's the thing. I think Bill Maher likes America. I don't think he hates America.
No, he came out against the radical left stuff all the time, time and time again.
So this is an
That's what
interesting.
Elon Musk said. Elon Musk was like, and Joe Rogan, it's not that I'm more left, it's just I'm more center, which more center makes me more right than left because everybody's so crazy.
Went so far left. And I'm not saying that the right didn't do crazy shit, but the left just went crazy. Yeah. Okay, so this is an interesting video to watch.
And Vivek needs to just shut the hell up and go home. I'm tired of it.
We all hate Vivek. Okay. It's Vivek.
Well, whatever.
Not that
Vivek.
Whatever.
needs to
Would you
sit-
say that about other ethnic?
Donna, I'm Donna. Vivek, is it Vivek Ramaswamy? Ramaswamy?
Ramaswamy.
Thank you so much. I
know,
learn
but-
so much when I come on this show.
I know, but
Vivek?
Vivek.
Needs to go home.
Look, I agree.
He runs it.
I just feel like there's something wrong with everybody refusing to learn to say his name.
Vivek,
I just
okay,
feel
I
there's a
will-
little racism there. There's just a little. Okay,
Vivek, I'll say it.
okay, all right. I'm just saying.
I'll say it.
It's like I know we don't like him, but just say his name right.
You're
the first one I've ever heard say that.
I could be
Yeah.
wrong. Maybe it's
I
not
mean,
Vivek.
yeah, maybe
No, it is. It is Vivek because I heard him do a rap and he said it rhymes with cake.
Okay, all right.
And this is what the CNN audience needs to know.
So this is interesting. And the reason why this is interesting is because she's saying that, making fun of his name and then saying he needs to go home, right? Now, I don't think she was saying, like, go back to India. I don't. I think that was a little hyperbolic in what people were saying. But it is interesting about how people tend to get away with certain things where, like, if you were to mispronounce somebody's name that, was a black person, and you told them they need to go home, I think that would make some headlines.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 100%. That's exactly what I was saying. He's saying it however he's saying it. He's not saying it with the same way Trump says it, which can be problematic, okay? He has a psychosis that Vivek says, all right? But they want him to go away.
Yeah, and
Because he's speaking the truth more often than not.
if you notice that his Vegas odds went, I think, down from 32 to 1 to I think 14 to 1 or 16 to 1 or something like that. So as Vegas doesn't like to be wrong, but also
I've never seen more ever since that last debate. I've never seen more Vivek everywhere, like literally. And I know my algorithm's speeching, but they've been cutting up, replaying it. So I don't see how he's going down. If anything, if Trump, let's say Trump gets assassinated, okay, which is on the table, okay, how they haven't done that or tried to is beyond me, okay, which will cause a civil war there because of it. Or he gets put away where he cannot, they pin him on something and he can't run. Vivek will inherit all the American first things. He's the only candidate. It's not going to be DeSantis. It's not going to be Nikki Haley.
So I don't know if you, man, I don't know if I should play this whole thing here, but it's 4 minutes. This is an interesting story. I think I tagged you in it, but it's interesting. It's worth watching. So Vivek.
Oh, I want to watch this. I didn't see any of this. I heard so.
He sat down with Governor DeSantis
and
Nikki Haley on his left.
Which I was shocked that Nikki Haley agreed to this.
I agree. This, by the way, is a very, very interesting discussion. I watched about an hour of it.
The headline. I didn't see the video.
I plan on watching 5 minutes of it, but it's interesting because there's different sides to people, and you hear people like start to be the politician. You see then start to be real, and it's interesting. It's
exactly so. For Mark, go ahead.
I wish Gavin Newsom. I wish whoever was running on the right. I wish Biden did things like this because that it might humanize him, or it might humanize the Democrats more. But they're not doing any of it. They're just sticking with their plan.
So why? Yeah, before you play, can I say something about this?
Sure.
Why I would win in presidency if God allowed and I won would be exactly this. What people don't get, nobody cares about policies, okay? People care about stories. That's why we listen to music. That's what marketing is. It's all story time, okay? Even why Trump did well when he tells a story of they're all out to get you. I'm here for you. That's his story, and he tells stories very well. Stories sell a vision more than anything else. Policies, nobody care about because they never follow through with them. If you can tell a really good story, you can win over anything, and you can change and influence and impact it. I'm living proof of that. If I run for president, a lot of my speeches will be stories that tell solutions and inspire people. My campaign would be to inspire others always. That would be our creed that we would do. So the marketing is a lot of storytelling. That's all it is.
Agreed, 100%. All right.
I actually haven't shared this story before, but you asked about a personal experience, and so I'm going to dip below the logic here. So Purva, my wife, you and Darla have met several times now. She is a physician. She's a throat surgeon. That's why she's not here right now. She'll be here tonight in Iowa, but she's protecting life now. She's saving lives at the cancer hospital in Ohio State, and she'll be here this evening. But she began her surgical training in 2015, and that's the year we got married. So that's when she entered her 5-year residency. And so the year we got married, we made a plan. We had it all planned out. Right? She was going to finish her residency. It was going to be 5 years in. And then we were going to have our first kid, and then we were going to have our second kid, and had it all mapped out perfectly. And I'd say God pretty quickly showed us what he thought of that plan when he, about halfway through her residency, at the start of her 4th year, blessed us with our first child. And we were ecstatic, actually. And the truth is, I was building my first company at that time. Apurva was working probably 80-plus hours a week. It's supposed to be capped at 80. They work them more in residency. And so we were going through a bit of a rough patch, to be honest with you, just with how much little time we were spending together. That brought us together. We told everybody we knew. We were ecstatic. We told our parents, and we weren't expecting the blessing, but we were grateful for it. We told our family members, celebrated with our friends. We actually bought a journal. We did that every night, and that brought us together. We wrote a letter to our child, what we wanted to impart, what were the stories from our parents and our grandparents we wanted to tell. And about 3.5 months in, Purva, one day she woke up, she said, I'm bleeding. She had a miscarriage. We lost our first child. And that was the loss of a life. It was our family's loss. And you know Purva, she is probably one of the most upbeat, strong, positive people you will meet. She went into a state of depression after that. And our faith is what got us through it, actually. Our faith teaches us that our child joined his creator, and one day we will too. But it inspired us to now continue trying. Okay, it wasn't part of our plan. Well, we knew we wanted that blessing. We asked for it again. So God gave us that blessing a few months later. And we were nervous this time, but God wasn't done testing us, actually. So she's a surgeon. She's in the operating room. And this rarely ever happens. It's a rare incident. It only happened once in her career. It was this time while she was pregnant. She's operating. There's a second surgeon. Two surgeons are operating. She gets a pinprick, draws blood. And, they look at the patient's tests afterwards just to make sure. And what do you know? That patient is HIV and HBV hepatitis B positive. So she goes into antiretroviral therapy, gets the hepatitis B vaccination again. Already had it, the start of her job, get it again. This is not good during your pregnancy, especially when our first one ended the way that it did. And so we were nervous. So I'm traveling abroad for work a few weeks later, maybe about a month or so later. And then I get the call that we dreaded. Poor was on the phone. She's crying. She said she was bleeding. And we'd lost our child in a miscarriage. And the thing that infuriated me also at the time was she couldn't even get an appointment until 3 days later. It was our healthcare system. And so one thing if I know how to do is cut through bureaucracy. I'm abroad. I do what I do. Make the phone calls needed. She got an appointment the next day. And I told her to call me after she was out. And so the next day I was waiting for a call. She goes in for the doctor's appointment. I get the call. She's crying. I'm getting ready to console her. And she said they found a heartbeat. That was our son. That was our son, Karthik. We can probably leave him there. And that was alive, right? It's this guy right here. And you can sit up here, you sure? Yeah. Okay. And I think that that's what gives us our commitment. I mean, yeah, there's the logic of it. Yeah. But when you bring life into this world, you protect all life born and unborn. And that's where our commitment comes from. And I think that, God taught us that through a different way than we had planned. But
so I didn't plan on playing the whole thing, but he told the story and he told it well. You're right. Stories sell, and I'm not.
Yeah, and by the way, Vivek, who I'll get on because he can be a little bit hall monitoring and be like a little bit so pontific. I can see why people don't like him, and I like him so much that I'm like, dude, just be more real. If he tells more stories like that, like he does, he just becomes human, and that's what is you. And I get it because everybody's out to get him. He's got to be on his point. So listen, they'd probably eat me alive if I did it, right? Like it's good that he communicates at his level. But yeah, 100%. That. And by the way, Ron DeSantis, his wife had a miscarriage too. Did you know that?
Casey DeSantis?
Yeah, because they connect over it. That's the part of the clip. I'm sure a longer version. I saw a headline that Ron DeSantis and Vivek, how do you say his last name? Ramaswamy, connect over miscarriage stories.
So I don't know what's going on, but golden showers is trending on Twitter. Interesting. All right, anything you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, thank you for committing to do this. I know we're both tired tonight. When you said I didn't want to do it anyway, but talking to that guy, Peter, who has a podcast very similar to ours, and he has a whole studio. They're right by PBD's podcast. And the girl, Jen, she served in the Democratic Party, and I guess it's his co-host. So I'm going to watch some of that.
Yeah, I don't like being unprepared, and I don't like not having energy when I show up. So that's why I was like, maybe we do this at a different time, because I wasn't as prepared as I should have been today, and that hurts the audience. That hurts retention. So I owe it to be better to the audience. Be better.
Well, luckily we're in the beginning, so
right. But like, I want to act like a professional.
Don't destroy us too bad in the comments.
Yeah, don't destroy us too bad in the comments. By the way, if you are watching this and you found value, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. If you're on X right now, give us a like. Share this with somebody if you found it resonated with you in some way. And yeah, J&J podcast on YouTube. Subscribe there. And Jeff, you got anything to add before we get out of here?
No. Just with this coming soon to, and depending on how we get our media level up, there's Your Podcast TV. If you have a podcast out there and you want to get it on network, one of the future sponsors on this will probably be Your Podcast TV. We can get this on the lunchtime hour. I gotta get something on there so that we could be on Roku and Amazon Live once we get the production quality up, you know?
Great. All right. Fantastic. I love it. Guys, be great. Have a great week. We will probably do this on Thanksgiving. Are we doing this on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, let's do it on Thanksgiving. So that's
all right. Our next show will be on Thanksgiving.
So I'll promote it actually a little bit more. We'll do it more fun and family.
Yeah, and listen, I think naturally this will start to take off. I mean, we can promote it as well, but it's natural.
Yeah, I mean, yes, if we talk headlines and we cut it up and we do it right. But there's a lot of work. I've been studying podcasts, and Bobby, listen, we have Angela of Empower Her Money. Her podcast, Top 5%. Not natural. It's a lot of work, you know? So like we'll work behind it too.
I agree. Consistency is what I'm most concerned about, because listen, if we're consistent, then we don't have anything to worry about. The rest will fall into place because you and I are naturally hard workers. I don't want to paint the fact like, oh, all you got to do is just post and we're going to figure out the back end stuff, but we need to be consistent, which is why I was almost at fault saying, hey, I don't want to do it tonight because I was tired. But if we're consistent and our goal is to get to 1,000 podcasts and we do everything on the back end, we'll start to reach people and hopefully start to change some lives and inspire other people. That's all I got. I got to get to bed. Guys, be great. Have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving. Goodbye.
Off, yeah.